Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for January 2023's Stampin' Class by Mail. I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I'm excited for you to make your cards this month using the Around the Bend bundle found in Stampin' Up's January to April 2023 mini catalog. We'll also be using the Dandy Designs Designer Series paper you can earn for free in January and February with a qualifying purchase during Stampin' Up's Celebration promotion. I've teamed up with Gina Wieselman, a fellow demonstrator and team member of mine, to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month it's Gina's turn to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards, and next month it'll be my turn. Be sure to watch to the end of the video for a sneak peek of the cards I've designed for February. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Have fun making your cards, and here's Gina.
Thanks, Brenda. I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I can't wait to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards using Stampin' Up's Around the Bend bundle. If you ordered a class by mail kit from either Brenda or me, all the paper and embellishments have been cut to size and shipped to your house. Go ahead and pull out the stamp set, ink pads, and other supply items shown here, and you'll be ready to stamp and assemble. Please reach out to Brenda or me if you need any supplies or would like to learn more about becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator or hosting an event. Let's get started. Our first card design is the Curvy Floral Thank You card. If you ordered a class by mail kit from either Brenda or me, all your parts and pieces are cut to size and were shipped to your house. If you didn't order a kit, go ahead and pause the video here, prep these supplies, and come back when you're ready to stamp and assemble. Like usual, I'm going to start with my stamping. We will be using the Mango Melody ink pad for all of our stamping for this card. And so to start with, I'm going to bring out this punched piece, which I punched using the Label Me Lovely punch. So on that, we are going to stamp our greeting. Just wanted to say thanks. And in terms of positioning, I'm going to position it toward the upper left side so that there's more room for my flowers. So we'll just stamp that. The next thing we'll be stamping are our two Mango Melody pieces here. And we're going to be creating kind of a background and our own kind of designer series paper look using these two leaves. But before we get to that, we're going to use this Curvy stamp. Now, this is kind of big and cumbersome. So before I stamp it, I like to just line it up and make sure I know which dot is going where on the scallop. And for me, it looks like I'm going all the way to the left with that first dot. So I'm just going to ink up. And I do find it easier to get good ink coverage if I take the stamp and lay it down like this. So I'm just trying to make sure I get every little bit. And then I will come in and stamp, applying nice even pressure. And of course, this would be a great opportunity to use the Stamparatus if you had one of those on hand. So with that piece stamped, I'll bring my ink pad back and I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp these leaves. And then I'll come in with the smaller one. Okay, one more. And then we're going to do the same thing with this little piece. And this one is really, it's just for the inside of the card. I like to dress up the cards a little bit so the inside has a little something extra. Okay, that is all of the stamping that's part of the card, but of course, if you wish, you can come in and stamp your envelope a little bit. So I'm just going to add some leaves up the side. It's not perfect, but not a big deal in my book. Okay, looks good. Now with our stamping complete, I'm going to go ahead and start with the assembly. So the front of the card is actually built on this piece of basic white cardstock. So I'm going to take my Stampin' seal and apply that to my designer series paper and position that on the bottom of the basic white. Okay. There may be a little bit of excess, in which case you'll just want to grab your paper snips and trim that. And then I'm going to come in with my stamped piece as well, add my Stampin' seal, and stick that down too. And so this time I will just be aligning this with the upper portion. So there will be some overlap with the designer series paper. Okay. And once again, you can trim any excess on the back if there is any of that. Just a little bit for me. Next, I'll take this piece that we stamped and I'm just going to apply some Stampin' Seal to that and put it across the bottom of this basic white. And this one I'm going to nudge up a little bit so that there's a little strip of the white showing. But of course you could get it perfectly in the corner if you so desired. Next, I'm going to bring out the Calypso Coral card base and fold that in half along the score line and burnish it with my bone folder. And then I'll start assembling the pieces that we just put together. So I can put the front on the front right away and also add my insert. Okay. And then the last piece to do is assemble our little greeting panel here. So with your kit, you will have gotten these assorted flowers, and I strongly recommend using the multi-purpose liquid glue for these assemblies. And I'm going to start and put a little bit of glue just in the center of the flower and add the Mango Melody piece there. And I'm going to also apply some of my liquid glue just on the edge of that flower, because that is the part that will be on the label. Okay. And then before that glue dries, I'm going to come back in with the biggest petal pink flower, and I can kind of slip that under one of the petals. And I'll come back with my other flower as well. You'll notice I'm not using a whole lot of adhesive. It doesn't take much to get those pieces to stick. And then finally, I'm going to take this whole assembly and use some of my Stampin' Dimensionals to pop that up on my card. So with my release paper peeled off, I can go ahead and bring that in here. And I'm just positioning it to the lower right. Bringing back our envelope, here is our first completed card design. Our second design is the Leafy Happiness card. And here are the parts and pieces for this design. Now this time for our stamping, we will be using our Granny Apple Green ink pad. So I will open that up. And the first thing I'm going to stamp is my greeting. So we have the "I'm just so happy for you" greeting. And I'm going to stamp that on this banner, which I did punch using the Banner's Pick-a-Punch. So here's what that punch looks like. And it's just great because you can fit 3 different sizes of cardstock in. So I use that for all 3 of the banners for this card. Okay, so inking this up, I am going to center this on that punched piece. Perfect. Then I'm going to bring back my scratch paper, and I'm going to be stamping this time the leaves that are not the outline, they're more of the inside part. And so once again, I'm just going for a random look here. Okay. And then I'm also going to add this decorative corner stamp on the inside of my card. You can choose which corner to put it in. But if you notice here, I am using my foam mat under this because it's a larger photopolymer stamp. This just helps ensure even ink transfer. And then I'm going to use the same Leafy stamp on my envelope as well, this time putting it down in this corner. With our stamping complete, we can go ahead and start the assembly. So I'm going to start with Stampin' Seal on this large Granny Apple Green piece. And I'm also going to take just a little bit of my liquid glue and add that on a few of the leaves. And then I'm going to position this piece in the lower left corner of my basic white cardstock. And then from here, I'm going to layer on my banners. So I'm going to start with the largest, and I'm just going to position that about somewhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the bottom. Okay. Then I'll take the next piece, which I cut from the designer series paper. This one, put about there. And then the last one, I will add where those two overlap. I'm going to bring out my stamped card base, fold that along my score line, and burnish with the bone folder. And then I'm going to use my Stampin' Dimensionals to pop up this whole card front. So I'm just going to center this. There we go. And bringing our envelope back out, here is our second card design. Our third card design is the Curtain Fun Fold. And here are the parts and pieces for this design. And one quick note for this design, I could not decide between the two different designer series paper patterns, so you probably got a combination of 2 different patterns in your kit. Once again, we're going to start with our stamping. This time we'll be using the Balmy Blue ink pad. And this stamping is about as easy as it gets. I'm just going to take my Hello There stamp, ink it up, and stamp it right on this punched label. And the label was punched using the Label Me Fancy punch. And that is all of our stamping. From here, I'm just going to put my label together. So the first thing that I'm going to do is cut one of these in half in this direction, and that one is going to get adhered on there. But then the other thing that we need is the additional top and bottom section. And so to make that look a little bit better, I'm actually going to just trim off both of these side tabs before I cut it horizontally. So we'll just get rid of those, and now we'll be able to layer up our label. So for this, I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I'll put a little bit on the left and right pieces so that I can position those first. And there's no particular amount of border here. It's really up to you and what you think looks good. Of course, the key is just consistency, so you have the same amount showing on each side. And for these, we'll just come right in and add those pieces as well. And I just love this creative use of the punches to get a mounted look on the back of our label. Now, the next portion of our card that we're going to work on is this curtain fold portion. So the first note is that this designer series paper is already scored for you. And the key piece here is that we have 1 inch and 1/2 inch sections that alternate down the cardstock between those score lines. So that's how it's scored. And then to give the angle at the bottom, which allows the back side of the designer series paper to peek through, what we're going to do is cut from this corner to this side 1.5 inches up. So on my paper trimmer here, what I'm going to do is align with the cutting portion, this piece right here, all the way at the corner, and then the side of the paper trimmer is 1.5 inches. So as long as I have this corner here and this at the side, we should be good. So I will just cut that. And now we have our piece for our fun fold. So now folding this, I'm going to start on the short end and just fold this under and back, under and back, under and back. And I got a loose fold on all of those first. And now that I see it all looks good, I will just go ahead and burnish that with my bone folder. Now, the next thing that we have to do here is create the indent, the kind of drawn back portion of our curtain. And to do that, we're going to use our paper snips. And what we're going to do is about halfway up, we are going to take this and snip all the way to that first fold line. Now, this does mean on the back side that you will go through 2 layers for part of that snip. So just keep that in mind. But now what we're able to do is come and fold, and we're just going to fold from that cut up to the corner. And you'll definitely want your bone folder for this. And then from the other side of the cut down to the other corner. And you'll see here, I didn't quite get it perfectly to the edge of the cut here. And that is okay. I would say if you have to prioritize one or the other, try to make this corner piece as clean as possible, because some of this will be covered up by our ribbon anyway. Okay. Now the next decision to make is whether you like the pieces to be flapping up a little bit, or if you want it all to be kind of tightly down. Because if you want it to all be really flat, what you'll want to do at this point is apply some Stampin' Seal in each of those sections to kind of hold it down. So I think for me, I like how it looks when it is flat, kind of along the middle. So I'll just put some Stampin' Seal on this 1/2 inch portion just along the middle there, so that it's sealed there, but there's a little bit of dimension on these other layers. And I just love this ribbon. It is the new Balmy Blue and White variegated ribbon, and it looks just fantastic. So I'm just going to come in here and start my bow. The key here when tying bows is this piece that is hanging down. I'm going to bring up to form 1 loop. And then this other piece I'm just going to wrap over and through and then tighten. And so as I was doing that, the key is, you don't want the ribbon to be folding and twisting, so trying to keep it as straight as possible. And then just kind of adjust until you have a bow that you like. And the other thing is you can play around with the placement of this bow. If you put it closer to the center, You will have less room for your greeting though. So I'm going to position mine about in the middle, and I think that will look good. Okay, and then once you're satisfied with your bow, you can come in with your paper snips and trim those tails. Those aren't quite even. Let me trim a little more off of this one. Okay, there we go. Now to continue on with our assembly, we will take one of our pieces of basic white cardstock, and we're just going to take this whole assembly. I'm going to put some glue right over that ribbon, and I'm going to be pretty generous here to make sure that this stays put. And then I'm going to align this on the upper left corner. And you should have a pretty good fit right down to this corner as well. Okay, so that's the key assembly for the front. Our inside, I will take this panel here and just add the Designer Series paper strip. Again, just to add a little something extra to the inside of the card. And then if needed, you can grab your paper snips and trim the excess. Then I will bring out my balmy blue card base, fold that in half and crease with my bone folder. And I will put these two assemblies on right away. So I'll start with my front. And we do have some ribbon here creating a little bit of dimension. So proceed with caution as you're applying your adhesive, but you should be able to go right over that. So I'm just centering this. And then I will grab this piece for the inside and put that in right away. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to take our stamped greeting and our two leaves, and we are going to position them on the card here. So I am going to use dimensionals for that greeting and multi-purpose glue for the leaves. So I'll come in and apply some, ooh, a little bit too fast there, some of my multi-purpose glue. And then I haven't adhered this greeting yet, so I'm just going to kind of keep it in place so that it guides my placement of the leaves. Okay. And now that I like where the leaves are positioned, I'm going to come back and grab a couple of Stampin' dimensionals and pop up the greeting. Okay, and our final piece here is our opaque adhesive backed gems. I really love these gems. They come in 4 colors, and we are going to be using the white ones. And with your kit, you'll get 2 different sizes. So just take one of the larger and one of the smaller, and you can use those to embellish your card wherever you like. Okay, and that is our 3rd card design. And now here are a few more bonus designs to show you even more ways to use the Around the Bend bundle for some card making. So for starters, looking at our 2nd card, I want to give you a little bit of insight into where this design came from, how it evolved. And this was one of my first designs. I decided that I wanted to add, the leaves to give it a bit more depth and to shift this up to move the focal point. But this just gives you a little bit of insight into my design process. Next up is another card inspired by our class by mail. So I used the same technique and just switched it up and used a different color scheme. So once again, using that curtain fun fold, mounting our greeting as so, this time using the Fresh Freesia color scheme with the ribbon and the opaque adhesive back gems. Now with this set for class by mail, of course, we have a wonderful set of designer series paper, which is a celebration item you can earn for free. And we also have these really cool dies. So in this card, I wanted to feature both of those. So we have the scalloped edge again and another color of the designer series paper. And something to highlight, the I'm Just So Happy For You stamp is straight, but because it's photopolymer, you can actually kind of bend that as you mount it on your clear block. And give a little bit of curvature to that greeting as well. So I did that here. And the other thing to note, this gem here is one of the From My Heart faceted gems. And I just love these. They're really pretty and they have a few different colors. They have kind of the ivory, a light pink, and then a darker, almost coral reddish color. So I'll be using these on a couple more of our samples as well. And this is really simple, just a couple of die cuts to add that flower image to our card. This next card also showcases both the designer series paper and the die cuts. So I just really like how the multiple flowers lined up with the white and the pink and the coral, how that all comes together. Next is another design that definitely shows off our dies. So we have this one that punches kind of these bubble images. I went with the scallop again, and initially I was concerned about this not being perfectly lined up, where it's skinnier here and wider here, but then ultimately I decided that I actually kind of liked that variation that it provided. But this fun fold opens up like this, and again features some of the opaque adhesive back gems. Now these next few designs are pretty simple. I wanted to really just focus on the designer series paper. So just a few squares here. I really like how the colors pop with the all white card base and mounted piece here. And again, using that same Fresh Freesia ribbon. And finally, once again, simple card design here. Just want to showcase the designer series paper. So I used the two different patterns. I used the same Label Me Fancy punch, but this time instead of mounting all the way around, I used two different colors and just mounted on the left and right, and I liked how that looked as well. So I hope these designs give you some additional ideas for how you might use the stamp set and the designer series paper. And just a reminder that the designer series paper is a celebration item, so make sure that you order that and earn it for free with a qualifying purchase before the celebration period is done in February. Thanks for participating in this month's Stampin' Class by Mail, and here's Brenda with a few more things for you.
Thanks for demonstrating how to make those great cards, Gina. Make sure to follow the link that shared this email with you for a special Pinterest board that Gina and I curated with even more fun ways to use this month's class supplies. Next month, it's my turn to design and share the cards with you, and I'm excited to show you a sneak peek of the 3 card designs featuring the Fragrant Flowers bundle and the Favored Flowers designer series paper. The bundle can be found in Stampin' Up's January to April 2023 mini catalog, and the designer series paper can be earned for free in January and February with a qualifying purchase during Stampin' Up's Celebration promotion. Celebration is one of Stampin' Up's biggest promotions of the year, and besides being able to earn free merchandise with a qualifying purchase, there are also bonuses for hosting a Stampin' Up party and for joining the Stampin' Up family. When you host a party during Celebration with friends and family, or maybe it's your own personal party, you can earn the exclusive new stamp set, Scenic Garden, when your party subtotals $300 or more. And Gina and I wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't share the best part of Celebration, and that is to become part of Stampin' Up's family. During Celebration, you get to choose from 3 options for your starter kit. With the first option, you'll receive the exclusive Boho Mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, plus your choice of $175 of Stampin' Up merchandise for only $129. For the second option, you'll receive the original white Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, plus your choice of $175 of Stampin' Up! Merchandise, again, all for $129. And with a third option, you get to choose $175 of Stampin' Up! Merchandise for only $99. Contact Gina or me to talk about celebration and all the wonderful opportunities to add to your Stampin' collection. Now, the easiest way to take February Stampin' class by mail is to order a class kit from either Gina or me. In your kit, you'll get all your cardstock cut and ready to go, embellishments, and envelopes, and it'll all be shipped right to your door. All you'll need to do is add a few additional supplies: the stamp set, ink pads, and a few additional items shown here. The registration deadline for this class is February 5th, 2023. Check your email for additional class details, plus a bonus opportunity to earn a free Stampin' Class by Mail sampler kit with a qualifying Stampin' Up! Purchase made with either Gina or me. If you're not already on one of our email lists, contact either of us so we can make sure you get all the class details. And we'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment as to what your favorite card was this month. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And until next month, happy stamping!